Welcome back to USA Car Reviews, the channel where we bring you the most iconic, most important, and most fascinating vehicles that shape the American automotive landscape. Today we're going to take a trip back in time, all the way to the early 1950s, and talk about one of the most legendary trucks in American history, the 1951 Ford F-Series pickup. This is not just a truck, this is a cultural icon, a workhorse, and the start of what would go on to become the best-selling vehicle line in the United States for decades. If you love American pickups, if you love history, or if you simply want to know why the Ford F-Series is such a legend, then stick around because this story will take you through style, engineering, performance, and the kind of American spirit that only a truck like this could deliver. Let's start with the context. After World War II, America was booming. Soldiers had returned home, industries were ramping up, and people wanted reliable machines that could handle work on the farm, at construction sites, or simply transport goods around town. Before the F-Series, Ford did build pickups, but they were based on car platforms and adapted for light truck duties. In 1948, Ford introduced something brand new, the F-Series, a line of trucks built from the ground up as trucks. That means a brand new chassis, a tougher suspension, and a design that wasn't just a modified sedan but something created with work in mind. By 1951, Ford had already refined this idea, and the truck was evolving into something instantly recognizable, something that would eventually dominate the roads of America. The 1951 Ford F-Series was part of the first generation, and it represented an important facelift and upgrade. The most obvious change was in the styling. If you take one look at the front, you see that wide horizontal grille with integrated headlights, a look that was bold, tough, and yet stylish in the way only early 50s American design could be. Ford called this truck the bonus built, a name that highlighted how much extra value you were getting for your money. The truck wasn't just a tool, it was a machine that gave you more comfort, more strength, and more durability than ever before. The grille was simpler than the 1948-1950 version, with a cleaner design that made it look more modern and less busy. The hood opened from the front like a clamshell, giving mechanics easier access to the engine, which was a big deal for farmers and small business owners who often worked on their own vehicles. Now, let's talk about the interior. Compared to today's standards, it was basic, but in 1951, it was considered comfortable and practical. Ford had improved the cab to make it roomier, and visibility was better thanks to a larger windshield and bigger rear window. The dashboard was straightforward with easy-to-read gauges, and everything was built with durability in mind. There was no luxury leather or advanced electronics here, but what you did have was a seat that could actually fit 3 adults, controls that were rugged and simple, and enough comfort to get you through a long workday without feeling completely drained. For many people, this was their office, their workhorse, and their family transportation all in one. Under the hood, the 1951 Ford F-Series gave you a choice of engines, and this was part of the reason it appealed to so many different buyers. You could get the proven 226 cubic inch inline-six, which was simple, reliable, and perfect for people who wanted economy and durability. But if you wanted more power, Ford offered the legendary flathead V8, a 239 cubic inch engine producing around 100 horsepower. That may not sound like much today, but in the early 50s, it was more than enough to tow, haul, and handle the heavy work these trucks were built for. The flathead V8 was also one of the most beloved engines of its time, known for its simplicity, tunability, and long life. Pair that with a sturdy 3-speed manual transmission, and you had a setup that could survive years of abuse on the farm or the job site. Another thing worth pointing out is the variety of models Ford offered. The F-Series wasn't just one truck, it was a whole family. The half-ton version was called the F1, the 3/4-ton was the F2, and the 1-ton version was the F3. If you needed even bigger capability, Ford had you covered with the F4 and beyond, designed for heavier commercial use. This is where the foundation for the F-Series dominance really started. Ford understood that different people needed different levels of strength, so instead of building one pickup and hoping it would fit everyone's needs, they built a lineup that scaled from light duty to heavy duty. That philosophy still exists today with the F-150, F-250, F-350, and Super Duty trucks. Styling details are part of what makes the 1951 model special. The two-tone paint jobs, the chrome accents, the rounded fenders, and the overall proportions gave it a look that is now considered timeless. You could see one parked at a farm in Kansas, hauling goods in Detroit, or even being driven around as a family vehicle on Sundays. It was versatile, and it looked good doing it. The back end featured a sturdy wooden bed floor with steel skid strips, and the tailgate proudly wore the Ford name in bold letters. Every detail was about blending function with pride of ownership. People who bought these trucks were proud of them, and many families kept them running for decades. From a cultural standpoint, the 1951 Ford F-Series symbolizes the American spirit of the post-war years. It was about hard work, optimism, and building a future. Owning one meant you had a reliable partner for your livelihood, but it also meant you had a piece of modern design and engineering that stood out on the road. It was both a tool and a statement, and that's a big part of why collectors today seek them out. Restored 1951 F-Series pickups are highly desirable, with their simple yet bold looks and their connection to a golden era of American industry. Even though it has been more than 70 years since it was introduced, the 1951 Ford F-Series still commands respect. When you see one at a car show, you can't help but admire the craftsmanship, the clean lines, and the way it represents an America that was growing, innovating, and dreaming big. And when you look at today's F-150, the best-selling truck in America for over 40 years, you can trace its DNA straight back to this truck. The philosophy hasn't changed. Build a tough, dependable machine that can serve everyone from farmers to families, and make sure it keeps evolving with the times. So when we talk about the 1951 Ford F-Series, we're not just talking about an old truck. We're talking about the roots of a dynasty. We're talking about a machine that helped shape American culture and American industry. This truck represents the birth of the modern pickup, and that is why it's so important. Whether you're a Ford fan, a classic car enthusiast, or just someone who appreciates history, the 1951 F-Series deserves respect. It's the kind of truck that built America, and its legacy still lives on today in every F-Series you see on the road. Thanks for watching USA Car Reviews. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1951 Ford F-Series, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more classic car stories, and let us know in the comments what your favorite F-Series generation is. Until next time, keep your engines running and your wheels on the road.